The case study that I chose to focus in on is Tilikum versus SeaWorld, a case that took place in 2012. This was a federal court case that was brought to PETA on behalf of Tilikum, which was a blue killer whale that was taken from Iceland at the age of 2 from the wild. In 2010, Tilikum had killed his handler, Don Branshaw, and unfortunately this was not the first time that Tilikum had killed a trainer, as in 1991 he killed Kelty Byrne, along with 2 other orcas, and in 1999 he presumably also killed Daniel P. Dukes. Tilikum was then put into a very small, isolated tank that was way too small for his size and not up to standards of what a whale should be in, space-wise. So PETA Foundation lawyers protected the 5 orcas that were being held captive at SeaWorld, saying that they were caught and held as slaves with the hope to release all 5 orcas to an appropriate coastal sanctuary where they'd be allowed to have movement and communicate when they find necessary, and then to hopefully be released into the ocean and reunited with their pods if that was appropriate for the whale. So PETA claimed this on behalf of Tilikum and as a violation of the 13th Amendment, which is the abolishment of slavery. Under that claim, they stated that women, children, and racial minorities were also at one time denied constitutional rights, and that animals should also certainly obtain similar rights to freedom, and that these whales were being forced to entertain and to provide financial means, as well as breed with other orcas to provide more performers for SeaWorld. Because of this, PETA was making the claim of extreme psychological and mental stress that they had seen in the whales' behaviors. They saw patterns of the whales swimming in circles. There was unresponsiveness at times. They saw hypersexual behavior towards both their trainers and humans, as well as other orcas. They saw self-inflicted physical trauma, vomiting, and also just general aggression in the orca's behavior. And in comparison with their lifetime outside of captivity, which is 65 years, the orca's lifetime was shortened to 8.5 years when they were in captivity. So that to them was a significant sign that this was not the life they were supposed to live. Originally, when the orcas were captured from the Icelandic wild, they were held in a 26 diameter and 20-foot deep pool, along with 2 other orca whales in the same pool. So there was 3 orca whales in a 20-foot deep, 26-foot diameter pool. And SeaWorld brought them in with the intention to free them from a previous situation, but then held them in a 86-foot concrete tank that dove only 51 feet deep. And as PETA stated it in their statement, it's about the equivalent of like a 6-foot-tall man living on the quadrants of like half of a volleyball court. So it's not very big at all, and it's not nearly enough space for someone to live in. The court ruling was against PETA and the orcas. Under the lack of expansive interpretation of the 13th Amendment, they claimed that though the 13th Amendment was used to target a single issue that pertained to only the single issue it was targeting, so the abolition of slavery in the U.S. However, the courts did state that animals have many legal rights protected under both federal and state laws, and even though the plaintiffs lack standing to bring a 13th Amendment claim, it's not to say that animals have no rights. Overall, this case just opened the dialogue about animal rights and what that means, as well as freedom qualifications and who that applies to. And it brought attention to the disgusting treatment that SeaWorld was treating their animals with. and the psychological and physical distress of captivity and confinement for all animals. So it opened up a really important conversation. And though the courts did not go in favor of the whales, it did start a more important conversation and bring a lot of awareness to the situation in hopes to, in the future, put an end to corporations like SeaWorld. So yeah, thank you for listening.